Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Path. My name's Brian, and with me today, we have a special guest, Andrew Champion. Yes, that's his real name, Andrew Champion, on a special episode of the Skulltakers. Andrew here went undefeated at Colorado Cup, I believe, going 4-0-1, which good enough for me, honestly, especially in this meta. So good job, Andrew. And we dragged him out onto the channel today to talk about how he did it with what list he did it with and how he can give you guys pointers. So Andrew, how are you feeling?
I'm pretty good, pretty good, and I actually went 5-0-1. It was a
5-0. My
six
bad,
round
my bad.
event, so but you know,
Just add another dub on there.
yeah,
But yeah, it's nice to have you on, Andrew. Like I said, guys, we're going to walk through his list, how he did it, walk through his event, who he is, all of his games one at a time. He is an active member of the Red Path community too. I think he goes under the name Mental Puppy. So if you would like to hit him up or if you have any questions, feel free to, because it is honestly at a GT this size with that record and this meta, that is pretty impressive. I'm going to go ahead and give you kudos a lot during this video. So without further ado, now we're just going to have Andrew just kind of talk about himself a little bit. Andrew, tell us about yourself. Why World
yes,
Eaters? Why
yeah.
40K? Why
So,
you?
well, back in I think it was 2022, 2023. I was funny enough just trying to find some video games to play on my new Steam Deck I'd gotten, and there was a sale going on for the Space Marine, the original Space Marine game, and I went, oh, that looks really cool. I might check that out. It was on sale, so I bought it and I played, and I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever. This is awesome." And you know, as I'm sure it happened to a lot of us, you kind of get approached by all the lore videos, and then maybe a splash of the painting videos, and I always told myself, "No, no, no, I'm just gonna stick to the games." And then um, eventually, I was like, "Yeah, maybe I could just go. Maybe I should go try it out and do some painting." And then I was hooked. I loved the painting, and I thought it was the models were cool. And if some friends of mine actually happened to play the game, and so they taught me the ropes and everything. And I got really, really into it and played a lot of casual, played a bit of Crusade, met some people doing Crusade, and right around when 10th edition came out, I was kind of interested in getting more into the competitive side of the game. At the time, I only played Ultramarines because I was a new guy. That's what you do as you play the blue guys.
Turn
And
it
some
off
friends
because
of
we're
mine.
done. Interview's done. I'm out.
Look, we all have our demons. But eventually some of my friends invited me to an RTT, and I went, "Oh, that sounds great." Showed up and had a great time, and I was like, "This is what I want to do." So I started going to RTTs all the time, and really, really started getting into the competitive scene then, about early 10th edition.
That's sick, man. And then 10th edition was actually a really good time to get into the game for me. That was actually not far off of how I got into the game. I've only been playing since the end of ninth. 10th was a big gateway, especially for us World Eater fans. I know there are a lot of us veterans of the long war out there that have our old CSM models, but seeing Angron for the first time really kind of it hit different. It just hit different for me.
Oh yeah.
But that's nice to see, fresh in the community, and
Hmm.
for only being in the game since the start of 10th edition and having a performance like this, that's big kudos again. I'm going to say that a lot.
Appreciate it.
Um, so as I said, Andrew went 5-0-1. Actually, wasn't what I said, but he did go 5-0-1. Um, and he did it with a rather unique list. Now, here on the Red Path, we've been advertising that there's quite a few builds that you can play right now. Obviously, competitively, Berserker Warband is still kind of the way to go. There are alternate builds for Gortrak and Khorne Demonkin, like we have James and Josie who will gladly champion. But in terms of world leaders right now, there's like this divide. Demon Prince, no Demon Prince. Angron, no Angron. He didn't take either.
Nope.
So
No, sir.
we're gonna go ahead and have Andrew walk us through his journey through this GT. I'm gonna have him share his screen here, and he prepared us some nice little graphics. And we're gonna walk through his list in each of his games. And a quick little breakdown, we aren't going to go super in depth, guys. If you want to know how his one Jackal squad in the back moved for all 5 turns, you're not going to get that. We're going to hit the highlights here. If you do want more interest, or if you do want more, feel free to hit him up in the Discord. He's also very active in our Patreon as well. All of those options are still available. But like I said, we're going to keep it kind of just to the highlights.
Alrighty, I'll share up my screen here. Alrighty, so this is my list. When the data slate happened, I was, as I imagine a lot of other World Eaters players were, a bit discouraged about sort of the state of the melee pressure build and how we fit into the meta. And I had planned to be going to this event, and I was really interested to see what would happen with the slate before I submitted a list for this event. Um, as we all know, the day slate didn't go exactly how everyone hoped. So it what I decided is, you know what, I'm gonna bring something super fun that I think I could use to my advantage for skill differential and just go to this event and not try too hard. So I decided I was gonna bring 50 berserkers, which is quite quite a lot of berserkers. And look on your opponent's face when you pull out your tray and you're like, "So here's my list," and they just go, "Oh my God." Um,
It just keeps coming.
it does. So the core of the list is Khorne, 10 berserkers and a rhino, and then 2 Juggernaut Lords, each with a 20-man berserker unit. Um, we also have a Slaughterbound with Berserker Glaive. He's usually going with an Exalted 8-bound unit. And then we have 2 Chaos Spawn, a regular 8-bound, and 2 Jackal units. One of these Juggernaut Lords also has Favorite of Khorne because I'm not a gambler, and I don't like risking my entire game on whether I roll the correct 8 dice. So,
That's the one thing that I hope to instill upon everybody in this community is please take this enhancement. Please just do it. You won't regret it for 9 games, and then on the 10th game, you'll be like, if only I had lethal sustained.
yeah, 100%. It saved me plenty of times where I probably wouldn't have gotten lethal hits, which in a Catan meta is obviously something that's pretty risky if you want to go into a game. Um, and Before I'd submitted this list, I actually talked with Brian, and I'd initially thought about putting Lord of Ikatus in this list and having him with one of the 20-man units, but I was a little hesitant about it, and I consulted Brian, and he sort of had the same thing that I was concerned about, which is the idea of putting 500 points of your list in Deep Strike just to get screened is not worth the gimmick of I rapid ingress my 20 man and then move through models with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah, Lord Invocatus is nice until you recognize that, like, yeah, exactly what you said. And he doesn't really, the extra movement buff you get from being movement 10 is noticeable. Like, it is quite noticeable. Basically the equivalent of disembarking from a transport, except you get that. And then the extra couple inches to your engagement range. Again, it's just nice. It's just nice. And I'm
yeah.
not an Invo hater. I love Invo. I took him to a super major. But I can
Yeah.
definitely see. And for the 20 mans, Juggernaut Lords is the way to go.
100%. And
Eh,
the 3 inch engagement range is super valuable. When you're trying to swing that many bodies on small targets, it can really come into play. It also makes people respect your threat range a little bit more, which is an important part of the 20 man or with the play style with 20 mans.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And then of course we got Karn plus 10, right? Like
yep.
the MVP, right?
Yep,
Um,
the backup, once you get through the first 40, he's gonna come in with a steel chair and take
yeah.
out whatever's left, and that can be backbreaking for sure.
Yep. And then the other thing is we still have the glaive bound in here. So it actually looks like my first like observation looking at this list, like you have 4 units that will take whatever's on the table and just throw it in the trash can, right? And
Yep.
in a meta where we are so top heavy right now, with Satan running around, with Orgildorns running around, with Bolgrin running around, with 10-man Scarab Cult Terminators running around, right? And
Hmm.
even things into like Tau right now, like 20
And
mans are
actually,
very
one thing
useful there.
I will say, I hate to interrupt you, I actually must have mistyped this because I actually don't believe I ended up with Glaive in this list. I think there was a version
Okay.
with Glaive, but that's probably a typo, unfortunately. But Slaughterbound still can hit really hard. When he's with the Exalted into monsters and vehicles. But yeah, I could think I couldn't fit Glaive in there now I think about
It's okay. I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you.
it.
But Slaughterbound with Exalted Ape, I mean, it's still going to hit like a trucks, right? In terms
hmm
of being able to kill Satan, like this list can, a little bit
Yep.
of help,
Yep.
which is where we kind of want to be at. And that's why we were
Yeah.
advertising having Angron, which is very interesting that usually there's people on two sides of the aisle of I want to play Angron or I don't. And if they don't, they're playing the Demon Prince. We don't have the Demon Prince in here. We don't have
Nope.
Angron in here. Is there a
Nope.
particular reason why you left both at home?
I really wanted to hit that 50 Berserk threshold. And the unfortunately, to get Angron and 50 Berserks, that's all you get.
You got
That's
nothing else.
really
Yeah,
all you
you get
get.
nothing else.
So
Yeah.
I felt more comfortable just going with the Zerks. I've been running Angron in my other lists, in singles and everything, and I just wanted, because again, I went into this event going, I want to have a good time. I want to just bring a bunch of guys, throw them around the board, not take it too seriously because I know the meta's a little out of whack. But it was also a little bit of counter meta choice for things like recon guard. I knew some people that were going to this, like really good guard players going to this event um, that
Yeah, that
that would
army's
probably
everywhere
bring
right
recon,
now.
and yeah, and really wanted to put fear in their eyes.
So
So
fair enough, right? And it's good justification. I mean, you could sub Angron out for most of a 20-man Berserker squad. That hurts to say.
yeah,
But I mean, I can definitely see the value into something like Tower, or even Recon, where sure, yeah, they're going to shoot you once, then you're touching them, and
yep,
you have 7 Berserkers left. That's enough. That's usually enough,
yeah,
especially when 4 of those are Eviscerators.
100%.
So it's a good list. I'd say this is like a pretty good example of like a max pressure just getting your opponent's face.
hmm
And if they're a gun line, you can take the punishment on the forehead and just keep it going.
Absolutely. And an important thing as well for this event, I looked at the player packet and I looked at what terrain layouts were going to be there. And the thing that stood out to me is they were only running layout 6 and layout 1, which are generally not, the most melee favorite. But the key part is there was no layout 2. There was no weird layout 3,
Yeah.
Dawn of War going on. And I went into Tabletop Simulator and I drew out all the lines for layouts 1 and 6, and I found ways that I could deploy the 220-mans in a relatively safe manner on both of these layouts. And that was sort of the confidence I had to go, okay, this will work. Because if I end up on layout 2 tipping point,
You're done. You're just
it's
done.
not it. Yeah,
Go first or bust, right?
exactly, exactly. So I didn't want to take that risk, and so I would have only brought this list if the terrain format suited it, and I made the assessment that it did.
And I feel like that's a pretty common spot that we find a lot of ourselves in right now, especially because we're trying to meta hot or like pick what part of the meta we want to attack with world leaders and where they are right now. But terrain more than ever is playing more of an impact, right? And
Yeah.
especially on GW, multiple 20 mans on GW is just straight up risking it, as you said on
Oh yeah.
layout two tipping and some of the other ones. But I
100%.
think you made the absolute correct call. Obviously, your results reflected it.
Worked out.
So let's get into your games. Let's talk about. Actually, no, we'll wait real quick.
Yep.
Colorado Cup. You want to tell us a little bit about the event? Give us a little bit of background. How many
Yeah,
players? Where was it at?
absolutely.
Venue,
Yeah.
some vibes.
So Colorado Cup took place in Denver. It's the first Green Banner event that is hosted in Denver. If y'all aren't familiar, Green Banner Eventco, they do a lot of West Coast events. Great company. They put on great events. I'd been to the Team USA Charity Cup that they had put on in Boulder City outside Las Vegas, and that was a great time. Um, and so this was their first time doing one here, and it ended up being a 190-person event, which it was pretty large. It's pretty big. Rocky Mountain Open usually gets to 230-ish, which is the other biggest event in the area. So their first event almost hitting that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So nice to have two super majors so close to each other in the same place. So
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, 190 players. Uh, it was great event. Drive was a bit far for me particularly, but yeah, it's okay. We
Hmm.
take this. So, yeah. It was 6 rounds. And like I mentioned earlier, it was just terrain layouts 1 and 6. Pretty standard, nothing else, no other unique stuff that they did per se. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Let's get into your first game.
Yeah. So round one, I got paired into Drukhari on layout 6 tipping point. This was Scorched Earth. When I initially looked at my phone, I was a bit like, oh, Drukhari, I wonder what build they're running. I saw it was Cabalite Cartel, which was like, okay, good, no spectacle. That helps. Like it's not the worst, but spectacle is definitely the best detachment into melee pressure because they can
Yep.
shut down a lot of our tricks with a lot of their strats and stuff. So I saw that, and then as I started looking deeper, I went, oh, there's no Lilith in here. So when we got to the table, we sat up. I met the guy, super nice guy, and we did the going through the list and stuff. And I asked him, I said, so no incubi? And he's like, no Malice, or no Lilith, nope, nothing like that. No witches, no, just Lady Malice, a bunch of Cabalites, um, they two scourges, a bunch of venoms, all the usual stuff. So I went, huh, okay. And I immediately felt extremely confident because I knew that with the limited shooting activations they have and the fact that they're susceptible to being tagged in this detachment, that if he misplayed, I could take advantage of that big. So my entire game plan here was try and lure stuff out, bring out some stuff that I can slingshot off of on the middle objectives, and just tag everything. He ended up going first, I believe. And let's double check. Actually, I went first. Yes, so he actually infiltrated these two Cabalite units deep onto the board to try and move block me early in the game. He also had two Ravagers, which Ravager, for those who don't know, Ravagers, they are these tanks that have really good guns at killing berserkers. 9 attacks, 632, full hit rerolls against units at starting strength. He can mark one of my 20 mans and give it sustained crit fives. It's a terrible combo. I don't want to see it. So my first goal was kill that or find a way to mitigate the output of that tank. He ended up marking my middle 20 man, and I went first, and I decided to poke out both of my Berserker units just a little bit. Down on my home objective, I chose 6-inch pile and consolidate and sustained hits the entire game, by the way. Very important for this build. I poked out both my 20 mans just in range of one of these Cabalite units. And I just deliberately overcharged all my plasma pistols at this unit to try and kill my own guys with the hazardous checks so that the Ravagers wouldn't get full hit rerolls against my 20 mans. Luckily, it worked. And both my 20 mans, I lost a guy or two in each, and suddenly no hit rerolls. So his biggest threat was out of the game immediately.
That's cheesy, but I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them doing extra damage to me because their Overwatch is actually a bit dangerous too,
Yeah.
and I don't want to lose extra stuff. So I shot these shots. I then charged and piled back in behind the wall onto my home objective to kill one of the screens. I ended up getting area denial and I think no priz, so I sent a spawn unit out turn one, which I don't normally do, but killed the other cabs, took area denial. He then put out a bunch of stuff.
I want to highlight what you just said. You said that you strung the Berserkers back to your home objective. You charged the Cabalites in the middle, and then you used the 6-inch pile-in to go backwards.
Yes, sir. Yes, that's a common play I do when people try to move block me too close to my home ruin, where I'll charge the berserker units past the wall and I'll string them all the way back to my home objective, kill them, and then I consolidate them back behind the wall because I'm getting closer to my home objective. So if you're ever playing against 6-inch pound consolidate, that's a very important thing to try and avoid when you're
Nice. Nice.
screening. So I killed all the screens, put out some bait, and then he put some stuff out, shot at my stuff, but he just put it a little too close. And I then proceeded to full send both 20 mans deep into his lines, and I killed 3 Venoms, killed the Ravager, piled in, tagged the contents of all 3 Venoms, and at that point, he literally couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Every single time he tried to interact with one of my 20 mans, he would have to fall back with both units that couldn't shoot. He would get one shooting activation. I would blood surge into one unit, and then I would trail the rest of the 20 man off in to be right next to a different unit, and then I would pile in and kill both in his turn. So this did not take very long, and I proceeded to just table him into his home objective. Um, really wasn't much to say without the counter melee punch and the low shooting output. There's almost no way for him to have
Yeah, that's
salvaged
brutal.
this
That's
game.
just straight up brutal.
Yep. So it was a nice opponent. It was a good time, but yeah, it was.
Yeah, no Lilith is nice there.
Yeah.
And no,
Oh
no
yeah.
yeah. Cavalier Cartel's not bad, by the way. It is very good
Nope.
at playing the trash game and slowly it wants to play 5 turns of Warhammer at
Yep.
picking you apart, and your list does not want to play 5 turns. Your list wants
No.
3 turns and we're done and we're getting lunch.
Absolutely. I really wanted to draw out those slingshot targets so I could really send my 20 mans with the 6-inch pile and consolidate.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and he kind of just put him a bit too close, and that's how it went.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Alrighty, well, round two.
Round two. So round two, this ended up being my draw. This draw was a little weird. So I got paired into Frank, which is one of my teammates. And actually, that round of our team, uh, we had 3 pairings that was our team into our team. So 6 of us got paired into each other, which was quite unfortunate,
For a
but
200-person event too, yeah.
quite strange. But it was a good time. I love Frank, great guy. He was running a very similar, if not identical, list to Matt Evans, who ended up, I believe, second or third. No, it was he had a loss, so he ended up one of the top tables. Matt Evans, fantastic Tyranids player, a very similar list to his. The main gimmick is he has 2 Norns, 2 Tyrant Guard units, which a lot of people don't see, but they're T8, pretty durable. They have access to 5 Feel No Pain and Invasion Fleet, which are each being led, and then a bunch of trash. And he just takes fixed, cleanse and engage, and it's really hard to stop it. Scores really well. The Tyrant Guard are very durable, being T8. It's actually a crazy breakpoint, especially if they get the Feel No Pain off. Um, so it was a little tricky. This game, I don't want to go too much in depth to it because the reason it ended up as a draw was um, during the game, we had an awkward interaction where I sent one of my 20 mans into the Tyrant Guard, killed the whole unit. He fought on death and killed a, a good amount of guys back. I didn't realize at the time that he was running the 1 damage weapons instead of the 2 damage weapons. So when he fought on death, I just pulled my models as if he was killing him with 2 damage weapons, but in reality, he should have killed half that. And we didn't notice this error until later in the game. But by that point, there was a weird cascading effect of, oh, I tagged the Norn, but he just made it out of combat by killing just to the man. And that led to some really awkward interactions where what looked like a win for me ended up swinging down a bit. And we realized that we had sort of ruined the game so much that he basically just offered to do it as a draw because it was like we had both messed up,
Sure, yeah.
and it was not really fair for either of us to try and claim the results of this game because the margins were so tight. Um, and I you know
Nope,
Frank,
fair
great
enough.
guy, really
Yeah,
gracious
sure.
of him.
Wasn't intentional. I
Because
think that was
yeah,
fair enough.
no,
You know what?
totally on accident.
Good on both of you though.
Yeah, 100%. So, like I said, I was there with the mindset of having a great time, and so, the fact that we had this incident, it's like it happens.
Ah
Sometimes
man,
you
you
just
should
don't
have
know.
threatened him with the friendship or the win.
Yeah,
He gets one or
exactly,
the other.
exactly. Yeah, I need a better thumbnail. Yeah. So, but this is a very good list. Highly recommend it. It's a lot of trash. Um, there was a funny situation where a Norn managed to kill 7 Berserkers in shooting, which is not likely, but it happened. So he joked about how he had no shooting until he rolled that, and I was,
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're like, oh, this is one? You have
just
two?
making fun of him the whole game. Like, what do you
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
They shoot great. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
so
sure.
nothing much more to say about this, sadly. On to round three, Thousand Suns. So this was Purge the Foe, which anyone who knows me, I rant about this being the worst mission
Hmm.
because you don't get to play Warhammer correctly. You have to play Warhammer all weird, and I can't stand it. So I ended up going first on this. This was against Tim, who really good player. He had an interesting list. No Magnus in Grand Coven, which
Interesting.
to me I'm like, okay, great, great. I don't have to deal with Magnus swooping in and shooting me to death. We love that. But he did have very serious shooting output. He had two Forge Fiends, which into my 20 mans is real good. For those who don't know, the Thousand Suns Forge Fiends can get full hit rerolls and plus 1 or 2 to the AP,
Yeah, the
which means
AP5.
20 mans just go away. So
Yeah.
that was the most dangerous part. He also had a 10-man Terminator unit, which ended up starting in reserves. And
It's
the
crazy how much stuff he has in this.
yeah,
I was
it's
looking
it's
at
a
this.
it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. The he had a Demon Prince and another Mutalith in reserves as well. And so this game was weird. So I went first. I ended up staging up a bit. I didn't go touch my expansion objective because if you go first on Purge the Foe, you should never go touch your expansion because there's literally no reason to. If they can touch their expansion, you shouldn't touch yours because it gives you no points and it just gives them something to shoot.
And
So
they get 4 points. Yeah.
yep, yep. So hit off there, and basically this resulted in me getting some very early efficient trades in locations in which he couldn't respond very well. I did basically didn't do anything turn one. Turn two, I wanted to give him awkward targets. I ended up sending out, I believe it was turn two. I sent out one of my 20 mans because he put his Mutalith on the objective, but he had put his Forge Fiend and Rubric Marines right behind it, a bit too close. So I was able to get to the Mutalith, kill it, and tag both, which for those who don't know means he cannot do anything about the 20 mans on that side of the board because he can't fall back and do
Yep.
anything with these units. I was then able to tag his other Forge Fiend with a Slaughterbound that I had rapid ingressed on my expansion to score some primary. I ended up getting Hold More a lot because of my Sticky on Death and the fact that he didn't have a lot of fast moving trash, which ended up helping a lot because the Hold More here really pushed me on that early scoring because he's probably going to get a 16 bottom of the game unless I table him, which I'm not really equipped to do here.
Yep.
Um, so I was able to get that early lead. He eventually drops in his stuff, drops in the Demon Prince, drops in the Terminators. Neither of them kill a unit. Um, the Terminator's activating the 20 man, but he rolls a little bad on his spells, so he doesn't get max output on the 20 man or onto the 20 man, which means they live. And the points lead that I had built early game was too much, and he couldn't really do anything about it. It was great, and top of five, Khorne came in with a steel chair, killed almost the entire Terminator unit. Jackals finished off the rest. It was awesome. Yeah.
We love our jackals.
Oh yeah.
And key things here. First of all, good game since coming out. I know a lot of people they struggle in the like you said, you play weird 40K with Purge the Foe. You don't have to hold going for hold more on your opponent is so hard and almost impossible to go for. And the fact that you managed to pull that off is huge. Knowing not to touch your expansion turn one. It's a big pet peeve of mine of people turn one touching
Mm,
middle objectives for no reason. So good on you for that as well.
yeah.
And obviously getting hold more this many turns in the game. And that's one thing that the 20-man bricks open up to you as a play pattern is they will gum up the table. You just can't interact with
Yes,
them
they do.
efficiently. Yeah, they're just everywhere, gum on your shoe, except the gun bites. Um, yeah, good on you. And the other thing that I like to say a lot is our army is really good at tabling itself at your opponent's inconvenience. And you really took advantage of that and secured you the win. So good job.
Yep, 100%. So that was day one. So into day one, I'm 2-0-1, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Having a
Oh
great
my God,
time.
yeah.
Loving the 20 mans. This is good. Day two, I make my way back, and I get my first pairing. Necrons. Everyone's
Boo, hiss,
favorite.
boo.
So, of course, getting Necrons, everyone knows, big boogeyman in the meta right now. Not a great matchup for us generally. The -1 damage on the Catan is brutal, and the durability and the scamability is just it's all there. So we ended up drawing on Terraform. on layout 1. So day 1 was all layout 6. Day 2 is all layout 1. So I'm loving this. I'm loving the day 2 layout 1 because I've gotten through 6, which tends to be a more shooty map um, on most deployments.
Yeah.
So I get paired into this Star Shatter build. This is Zach, who I played against. Super nice guy. His list was a pretty standard Star Shatter list. He didn't have the Nightbringer though. He instead chose the Void Dragon, which is more of a tech play, and he decided to have a 6-man Wraith unit with the Technomancer, which is another durability piece that's high OC, pretty fast, hard to kill. Only one Doomsday Arc, which is very nice for me because Doomsday Arc's pretty good at shooting berserkers in 20 mans because it ends up being d6 plus 5 shots that could just suddenly whole unit's gone. So for this game plan, I really wanted to lock down my expansion and threaten the pressure of primary. He also decided to rapid ingress his deceiver, which meant that my game plan was to screen. I was like,
Annoying little 40 mil, yeah.
yep, it was how do I prevent this little guy from just showing up in the middle of my army when I don't want him to?
Yep.
So turn 1, he tossed his he actually had some tomb blades here that I did end up putting on the diagram because I forgot. He tossed the tomb blades on the middle and on my expansion to try and get early terraforms. He then pushed up the Silent King, the Nightbringer to his expansion and his L. I had taken 6-inch pound consolidates and sustained, which in hindsight I should have taken lethal. I just autopiloted the sustain, but in this matchup, the lethal is going to end up being better into basically every target. So that ended up being it came up, but he ended up giving me a slingshot target from the tomb blades in the middle. And I looked at my board position. I went, I could connect my 20 man with the Silent King turn 1. And he had taken the +2 move aura on the Silent King, not the reroll hits. So his output was going to be worse, and he was going to be pressuring me next turn because he had already moved up aggressively. So I said, you know what? We're running this list. It's good at pressure. It's good at OC. The blood surge is good. Let's see if we can do a play here. So I slingshot my middle 20 man into the Silent King. I kill both Minears and get the Silent King down to like 8 or something like that, which with lethals probably would have been better. So that's the hindsight there. Killed the guys in the middle and on my expansion. Strung out my jackals onto my expansion. One trick I do in basically every single game here is I start my jackals in the Rhino and Khorne right next to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah,
doing that.
so I have essentially 10-inch moving jackals turn 1, which lets me easily get on my expansion. Then I pop Khorne in the Rhino. And so I tag the Silent King, get them all gummed up, stage up my spawn on the bottom, and basically go, okay, what are you going to do about this? The Silent King, contrary to popular belief, does not fly. So to get out, he has to desperate escape. So he's gonna have to take a desperate, which he doesn't want to do.
Okay.
But
Okay. I was about
he
to.
takes the risk though. He takes the risk, which I was all about. He falls him back onto the middle objective. Um, he lives, so good on him.
Boo.
Good on him.
Boo.
And he lines up the Void Dragon, a Doomsday Arc, and the Wraiths to attack my 20 man. He knows that no matter which, if he doesn't shoot the 20 man, none of the targets that go into combat are going to do credible damage through my -1 damage, which I've saved for. So he takes the risk and shoots them with the DDA. Unfortunately, that was the wrong call, and because of how I had positioned my Juggernaut Lord, he couldn't prevent me from blood surging whichever way I wanted. So I was able to blood surge onto his home objective with my 20 man unit and tag his DDA, which is not good. And I made sure that I was outside of 12-inch range to prevent the charge from the Nightbringer or the Wraith. So
Oh, that's just over already.
yeah,
That's so good.
not good, not good at all. So with that, I then full sent as much of my army as I could. Khorne went onto the center to attack the Silent King. Other 20 man went and charged the Void Dragon, who was on his expansion. My spawn went out screened, and I just screened the entire board. I sent another unit spawn to his home, and he was forced to rapid ingress the Deceiver in the back of his home, in the back of his
Nice.
deployment zone. So
Nice.
that was real bad. And eventually, I kill the Silent King. I also had rapided the Slaughterbound with the Exalted, which I always put in reserve every game just to
Yeah.
scare my opponent. And I basically just gummed up all the objectives, and he could never reclaim anything. I had too much OC. He didn't do enough damage in combat with the Void Dragon because he had to
And with
split
Terraform, I
mechanics.
mean, you're just
Hmm.
getting that. It just gets out of hand so fast.
Yep, he had an awkward interaction where he couldn't get the Deceiver onto his home because he rolled poorly on his charge or something like that, and I ended up being able to terraform his home, and it was real bad. And so I this ended up being a let's see, it was a 98 to 31 in my
Ooh,
favor, which for in a team score is quite the 20-0. So I was really happy about that, especially since Necrons are the boogeyman. So
yeah,
yeah,
good job, man.
yep, appreciate it.
And
Um,
and that's really comes from understanding like when to go and when not to go, and when to take risks and not to take risks. I mean,
mhm,
getting into the Silent King and killing Tumineers, you're probably never killing the Silent King there, especially when you said that
nope,
you were going after the Tombblade squads instead, or in addition to. But just being in the right part of the board and denying him his shooting, like you get the choice of the Silent King's melee or his shooting, or the
yep,
Silent King backs up and he's out of the game for like 2 turns, right?
yep.
And like you said, you had complete control over primary. And you had two options, either to run straight into you and die, she chose, and it didn't work out, or to run away from you and give you the win. And either of those
Yep,
situations is a win-win. So good on you for seeing that.
100%. That's the situation I'm trying to force in a lot of games is giving them, and that's what the melee pressure wants to do is you want to give them a bunch of stuff to deal with and say either you try and slug it out, which you probably lose, or you run away and I score points and you'll eventually kill me, but I'll have more points. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I have no problem with that. It's awesome.
yeah. Oh, it's the best. That's why we play this.
I'll 11-9 my whole way to an 8-0 at a super mini, right?
Yeah,
Like I'll do that all
exactly.
day.
100%. Um, Great. So on to round five. Round five, I played an AdMech. This was James, really good AdMech player. He's been on AdMech since Index, so that's how you know you got to watch out because they got their reps. This was kind of interesting because he actually had very dangerous output into my 20 mans. He had a is there 6 or 5 man destroyer unit,
Yeah, the
which for
six
those who
man with
don't
the
know,
Manipulus, probably,
yep,
right?
yeah, with a Manipulus. So it is a lot of AP 3, I believe, damage 2 that just melts berserkers
Yep.
and they're gone. And they're Overwatch. They crit on fives. They Overwatch on fives. So it's actually really hard to approach these guys. So I tried to deploy in a very aggressive posture here. It's scorched earth, so it's going to be drawish. It's going to be a tight game until you make it not. So I wanted to really scare him with the 6-inch pile and consolidate and just put everything close, make it feel like I'm going to run at him, but only run at him if he messes up.
Right.
And with this aggressive posturing, he decided to deploy a bit more conservatively with a lot of his assets. He also had a dune crawler with the blast weapon, which is I believe it's 2d3 blast with reroll hits, so that can hurt. Big plasma gun. He also had a 10-man. I they're the melee electro priests.
Oh yeah, they
So
got a ton of attacks.
lot of attacks, and I believe they're damage 2, which is effectively going to be damage 1 because I'm always going to save that CP, but that's also scary. He ended up going first here, which he didn't want to do, and the aggressive posturing that I have done in deployment led to him deploying more cautiously, which gave him awkward board states. He moved up his server to unit to try and move block, and then he decided to move block with his infiltrators, which makes sense to me. If he gives me an in, he's gonna eat a 20 man. But he was very careful to screen, which was the right call. Um, he moved on his expansion. I set up my Jackal Rhino with a easy advance onto my expansion, as I've done all these other games. Got Khorne in, everything, staged really aggressively again. And at this point, he was so obsessed with trying to screen the 6-inch pile and consolidate that he almost never left his deployment zone. He got onto his expansion with a little bit of guys, but I was able to identify early that he was never going to be able to take my expansion. With how I had ended up staging, I set up an awkward thing where he can't charge anything on my expansion because he'll risk a heroic. If he tries to shoot anything while on my expansion, he's gonna get blood surge in too.
Yeah.
And I just set up this really awkward puzzle on my expansion to say, this is mine, leave it alone. Because I wanted that draw, I wanted consistent primary. I eventually started killing a bit of his screens and getting rid of some of his stuff. And he sent out the Electro Priests to use them as a screen because that's how scared he was of these. Because if these 20 mans with the 6-inch pound consolidate, it's really hard to screen. And I was helping him a lot and giving him a lot of advice. He would go, here's my unit. If they're, 6.1 inches behind, you can't get them right. And I said, well, what if I do this? And my model is slightly past your guys. And then he's like, oh, you're right. So it
Yeah.
that fear though led to him just not being aggressive enough, and I was
Yeah.
able to just outscore him.
And that is one of the things that you will win you matchups right out the gate. It's not
Hmm.
necessarily that you're lying to them, but people can have the fear, and if they feel the fear
Yep.
and they deploy on the back, it's almost over. Like I
Yep.
said,
He
you have
also.
two choices. You either run right at it, you fight them in the middle of the table, which, as we identified earlier, they probably lose that brawl, or
Hmm.
they sit in the back of their deployment zone, and they're
Yep.
almost definitely losing at that point.
100%. He also made a big mistake. I had my spawn at the bottom, staging behind that ruin, and he had some rust stalkers in reserves that he brought in to charge them to try and kill one of my scoring pieces and like stuff that could attack his expansion. I ended up rapid ingressing my exalted right next to the spawn, and I had the option to heroic, but I went, you know what? These rust stalkers are a perfect slingshot target for my 20 man on his expansion. So he didn't want to consolidate into my 8 bound, even though that would actually been worse for me if he'd done that. And so the 8 bound went off, it killed something, and the 20 man just went whoop, swung onto his home object, onto his expansion. And at that point, I had gotten the exalted into his dune crawler, killed that. He'd set up a multi-layer screen, and the only way I was able to kill that was with a berserker unit. And so I did something he probably didn't expect, which was I just sent Khorne. I was like, just 10 man. I don't really care. He's just going to move block your destroyers from getting to my 20 man because Khorne right now is a cheaper asset. He's going to kill the unit. He's going to be there, still blood surging. And the 20 man's more valuable because they can tank the Overwatch
Yeah.
if I need to. So I sent Khorne in. At that point, he was like, I am boxed in my deployment zone and I can't leave. And so we played it a little bit more, and then we ended up talking out the last like round and a half, which led to me getting a pretty decisive 100 to 57 there.
Nice.
He couldn't score because he couldn't get out of his deployment zone because he was too scared. I think the lesson there is sometimes you gotta be aggressive and take
You got
risks. So.
there's a line you got to walk down with world leaders where you either have to be brave or a coward. Neither of those are correct. You got to be right somewhere in the middle. You have to be a
Yeah,
respectful, brave person.
yeah,
It's better to die in the middle of the table than in your deployment zone.
100%. But great opponent, super nice guy. He actually, he asked, let's talk it out, and then he asked me if we could sit down, and I could just tell him everything he did wrong about the match. Which that's a great attitude to have when you lose a game.
Yeah,
Is what did I do wrong? How do I do this better? And so that's how you learn, so you get better at the game. So hopefully he took away a good amount from that.
yeah, absolutely.
So at this point, we are 4-0-1.
You feeling
And
nervous?
I was like, I literally went up to my teammates after the round and went, guys, I brought this list just to have a good time and chill, and now I am currently vying for fourth place at this event, and I'm gonna try, but I know I'm gonna try a lot more than I wanted to. But then we pull Necrons again.
Who
So the
would have
big boogeyman
thought?
again. Yep. So this is Tom Cohen, a very good player up here. Same team as Ben Neal, who ended up winning this event. And he was bringing a very traditional Star Shatter list with the two DDAs, the Silent King, Amintar, who you hate to see, the Silent King, the Dightbringer, which is much scarier in combat, and of course the Deceiver. He also had a Triarch Stalker, which is an early scouting, very durable vehicle, which is really annoying. So I was a little wary of that, and some infiltrating flayed ones. So this was layout one again, tipping point, take and hold. So I take and hold. This is my best mission because I have more OC than you, and you can do nothing about my OC except for killing me. So I wanted to bait out his resources. I wanted to get out his screens. I wanted him to put stuff on objectives, but not too much stuff on objectives. So I did the same thing where I deployed aggressively, made it seem like I was going to rush at him, and he deployed a little bit more passively. I also explained to him my 20 mans have 108 attacks with lethal hits. And if anything kills a Catan, they have the potential to. They don't do it every time. They're pretty
It's like
close.
a 50-50.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, if you roll a little above average, definitely won't. If you roll a little below average, there's a chance. But of course, that's why I want all my resources so I can have multiple things hitting these Catan. Um, I ended up going first, and I just aggressively stage, scare him away. Don't let him come on objectives, make him think he's going to get tabled. So 20 man goes in the L, 8 bound goes in the L. My jackals go onto my expansion with the rhino trick. Khorne sits in his house. My spawn go to the very bottom of the board. I basically say, if you peek your DDA out down this long angle, I'm going to tag it, and you don't want that. So my spawn are going to be safe. And I drew, I think, extend and area denial or something, and I went, I am not going to do area denial. I do not want any of my resources to die turn one. I could send out a spawn, kill those flayed ones, but I need my spawn. So I just said, you know what, your flayed ones get to live. I'm going to hide behind my walls, and we'll see what they do next turn. Pass it on to him, and he gets, I think, also area denial or something very similar, where the flayed ones decide to stay in the middle and cleanse, and he uses them to move block. He sends his Triarch Stalker down to his expansion, but because I've postured aggressively, he doesn't want to put his Catan on there, which in hindsight is the wrong call. I think he can be aggressive in an expansion, but he's worried about it. I think what he's trying to do is bait out my 20 man to kill his Triarch Stalker, so he can then just annihilate my 20 man. I didn't take the bait. I stickied my expansion with my jackals because he didn't touch them, and my jackals walked over, charged the flayed ones with dev wounds, killed them. I then consolidated to completely move block the center objective, and I went, "Your turn." And he was like, he didn't go anywhere, and so he didn't have a great answer for the jackals on the middle. He had nothing he could put on there. He could maybe get a longish charge or a decent charge with the deceiver onto the middle, but he really didn't want to trade his deceiver for my
For 10
jackals.
jackals.
No, he did not want to do that. So he ended up indirecting them to death, and he brought in his Ophidians to screen his home objective because I still had the Exalted and Deep Strike. He really didn't want me to hit him on his home. He screens that. He kills my jackals. I stick you on death. Oh, I got a 15 on primary.
Nice. Stonks.
Great, great. My next turn, I send out my spawn, kill the Ophidians, consolidate back on my expansion, and go, your turn. And so he's now just like, he's not coming at me. I've scored a 15. He's scoring 10s, and he then is like, okay, I got to get pressure on now. He realizes his mistake. His screens are all dead. He knows my rapid ingress is coming, so he advances the deceiver. He's 1 inch short of the middle, which is just the worst, just the worst for him, because now, unless he puts something else on the middle, I'm just going to score another 15. And he has nothing to do that except the Triarch Stalker if he wanted to just like waste that as well. Instead, he sends the Triarch Stalker up, kills my spawn at the bottom of the board, and passes turn. So I get another 15. I rapid ingress right at the top near his home objective, and then I full send my whole army. The bottom 20 man kills the at this point, he had moved up more aggressively. The Nightbringer was now on his expansion. The Silent King and Amatar were buddied up a bit behind him, but he had no screens. So I kill the Triarch Stalker, tie his expansion, so he's not going to get any points for that. I send my other 20 man into the Deceiver along with 3 8-bound. They take him down to like 2 or 3, which is pretty nice. An important thing I did, which is also nice when you have the 20 mans, is not only did I fight him, I then made sure that my models were placed in such a way to where he could not fall back onto the middle objective. The reason that's important is if he somehow shoots my whole unit to death, he can't control it, and I can sticky it on death if I need to. But he decides to not fall back because of that. My Exalted slingshot onto his home objective because I throw some spawn up there. They both charge a destroyer, and the exalted tag is DDA. Put 5 OC on his home. He gets a 0 on primary, bottom of 4. So he now has to desperately remove the spawn and exalted unit from his home objective, and 2 20-mans on his expansion. The gist of that is he can't. I end up scoring another 15. He shoots my berserkers. They blood surge into the Nightbringer. They stay in combat. The deceiver has to kill the 8-bound instead of the berserkers on my turn, because if he doesn't, then they kill him. So we just locked in combat, and I had
And you had
significantly
the
more
OC.
OC.
Yeah,
Yep.
you had the
And
OC.
the attrition, he had to send the Silent King to take his home because otherwise he would never take it. Amintar, it's too risky for him to try and do it by himself. And this is the situation where the passive aggressive playstyle can lead you to scoring points, and you don't need to overcommit. If you're winning and you're hiding behind objectives, just keep hiding behind
Yeah.
objectives.
I was about to bring that up. That is one of the things that I like to say in like all the coaching and stuff that I do in the passive aggressive style that Dara helped coin. We talk about all the time is do the bare minimum to maintain a winning board state. Because eventually when it is time for you to go here, catch, your opponent's going to score fives and zeros. All right, for a
Yep.
couple turns. You may get tabled. Like you're at the end of the day, that Nightbringer and the Silent King are probably going to eventually. If there was a turn 6 and turn 7, you're not going to have an army left, and there's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be a Nightbringer that's still there. But that doesn't matter. The game's 5 turns, and if you can go, cool, I'm scoring more points than you turn 1, 2, and 3. You know for a fact your opponent's going to have a terrible turn 4,
Oh yeah.
and that's when you just take it and run.
Yep.
And the
I
worst
knew.
thing, yeah, the worst thing you can do is be tabled and let your opponent just score 30 points on
Yes.
turn 5, right?
100%. I knew that I would eventually get tabled, but I wanted to get tabled after I scored a bunch of points and gave him 0 points.
Yeah,
And it worked out. I ended up winning this one, I think, 92 to 66.
yeah.
Those two 15s that I got were super important for this. He ended up getting a 15 at the end of the game because it's really hard to stop that when they're going second. But no, that's what happens. But
I mean, yeah.
this is a good game. It was tense for sure. When you're hiding behind ruins and you're not going out, sometimes it feels unintuitive sometimes, but you have
It
to
feels
get
like you're
past
making the,
that.
especially feels like you're being a
Yeah.
bad world leader too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
again,
So
finishing
that
5-0-1.
was
Yeah.
yeah, that was my fifth win. So 5-0-1, I ended up fourth place, which for the taking a fun list and just having a good time,
Hell yeah.
best of both worlds.
And not only a fun list, like I'll give you a little bit of kudos here. One, it was a fun list.
Yeah.
Two, I actually don't think it's a fun list. I actually think it's a good list. I think you found a weird niche between that debate that's been going on between Angron, no Angron, Demon Prince, no Demon Prince. And you also demonstrated your ability to play the macro game very well. To
Yeah.
refer to the macro and the micro, two different types of gameplay. Micro is, do you know can you beat your opponent over the head with the core rule book?
Yeah.
Macro is, do you understand when you should be standing on circles and when you should not be?
Hmm.
And I feel like that carried you through a lot of your games alone, just your mastery of knowing where to be and when to die. And what to kill didn't matter as much as long as you were dying in the right spot, right?
Yeah.
And the 20-mans can create those super awkward situations. So your list is good. I think it's
Yeah.
a great list. I think it'd be even better in teams.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what you do with it more. Maybe you should kind of stick with your meme list. And who knows, maybe when this meta cleans up a little bit and Satan aren't running around and we get back to normal Warhammer, uh, maybe it does even better. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
fourth place, hell of a job, man.
No, I appreciate it.
How did it feel like? Did it feel like I know you said
It
you were like doing it jokingly, but
it felt surreal. I am a dedicated World Eaters player. I've gotten a bunch of Best in Faction World Eater stuff because when you dedicate all your time to playing World Eaters, you tend to
happens.
do
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So I wasn't expecting this. Was another fantastic World Eaters player at this event, Ryan McGuire, a good friend of mine. He ended up, I ended up sneaking out the Best in Faction, as you could imagine. We were, uh, sort of jockeying over who would end up with it. He ended up getting best overall, though. So big congrats. He is one of the best looking World Eaters I've ever seen. So yeah, pretty pretty great showing from him. But it was a great time. Felt great. It was exciting to bring a list, not really know what the end result's going to be, but go in with a game plan and then be able to execute that game plan and it work. And that's what it felt like here, knowing that if I just took 16th pile and consolidate the whole time, that there'd be skill differences where people just wouldn't be ready for me to swing a 20 man around and hit something that was safe.
And
And yeah,
I won't even say that. I think it'd be unnatural if people are ready for that. That it's not something that people. We're the only army that can do that,
yeah,
and do it everywhere. And that is one of the few strengths that we have left that makes us unique. Is that army-wide pile and consolidate six. That and the 20 mans are absolutely the best tool for that. One of friends of mine on Art of War used to talk about. It's called distortion. It's this concept at the table where it's just a Pandora's box of terrible things that you can do to your opponent. And if they're just moving
yeah,
stuff around at a certain point, you can't really even give them good advice. Like
no,
tons of time people look at me and they're like, well, this is really bad. How about can you give me some advice as to what I should do right now? And I'll be like, look, man, I present the problems. Your job is to solve them. I don't know how to solve the problem I gave you, but you need to figure it out, right? And
yeah,
that's like what I refer to as distortion, where it's just like everywhere's a problem. There's nowhere you could solve it.
no,
And the best way to deal with it is just to accept that it's going to happen and put your head down. And if you can't feel the fear, I know I'm like coaching against world leaders right now, but you can't feel the fear. As
yeah,
much as I want to win the lame game, I am perfectly willing going past turn. I have definitely stood on primary better than my opponents before in past turn for 5 turns until a win.
yep,
But
yep,
again, good mastery of that. It was nice to see all that.
yeah.
Well, uh,
It's exciting for world eaters. I think my favorite part about this event was being able to go to people and go, look, world eaters did really well. We're not
yeah,
dead in the water. We can still win. You can still do stuff. And, there's a lot of dooming that you see with
yeah.
the slate, and I think my favorite part is being able to be like, look, guys, we can do it.
But don't.
And
That slate was still bad.
yeah,
We're
no,
still
100%, 100%.
it's still terrible slate.
Yeah, just don't give up, right?
Exactly,
Keep
right?
pushing through.
For a lot of people, I'd say this is probably the lowest low that world leaders have felt since the start of the edition.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a good like thing is a lot of we've have like, you are not alone. This game has
Mhm.
doubled in size since the start of 10th edition, which is a good thing. More people are playing the game. This is the first time a lot of people playing world leaders may start to feel discouraged. Sometimes your armies aren't A tier guys.
It's true.
And this is when we separate the dedicated fans from the not dedicated fans. And being able to see that experience and skill expression is still available in an army that isn't even necessarily A tier, S tier. It's really awesome to see, Andrew.
Yeah, and a big part of that for me is the Red Path. I've joined the Red Path a while back. I actually have a great backstory for you for my World Eaters introduction, which was a couple years ago when the Christmas box came out with Angron. I saw Angron, I went, that's the coolest model I've ever seen. That is so awesome. I really want to get that. And I put it off and I was playing other stuff. And then I was watching War Games Live and I watched the LGT. And there was a guy on there playing World Eaters into Custodes. And he had a beautiful World Eaters army. It was awesome. And it was, I think, on sweeping engagement or something like this, where they were a little
Yeah.
close. World Eaters player goes first. He rolls blessings and he goes, all right, Angron is going to move 22 inches and charge. And as soon as I saw that, I went, I'm playing that army. I want to do that.
And that
Angron charges a Caladius, one shots it. I was like, yes.
and that was Dara, if I can recall, right? Yep.
So, and it
I think that's
was.
his
And
only game on stream too, by the way. He has one out there, and it's his only one.
yeah. And a little while later, I found the Red Path community and I thought it was awesome and stuff. And I started watching some of the painting videos. And I was like, I saw Dara's Angron again. I went, that looks so familiar. What do I know that from? And I made the realization, wait a minute, Dara was the one on stream. And I went back and looked at the Red Path objective markers and I was like, oh, Dara's the one that got me into World Eaters. Like, that's so cool. And so I love the Red Path community. I don't post a ton, but I love to lurk in there and comment and discuss. And so it's the best place for World Eaters players to be. And uh, yeah, love it.
Man, you're taking all my shameless plugs right out of my mouth. I guess I'll just carry that straight on to, yeah, we try our hardest as a team. We've worked really hard to get experts from all across the field, from painting, Khorne Demonkin, Berserker War, band enthusiasts. We live and breathe world leaders. I may be on my Chaos Space Marine side quest right now, but we're all entitled to a little bit of a vacation.
Yeah.
Don't worry, when time gets tough and I really got to reassert my dominance, I will. But if you guys want more access to World Leaders content, please check out our Discord. It'll be linked down below. We do have access to a Patreon as well, where we do private workshops one-on-one. I know Andrew was mentioning that we were giving a little bit of advice back and forth on I mean, a Juggernaut Lord versus Invo, but this is your list entirely, man. Own it. Take it and run with it. If you guys want to add him in there, he's in our Discord. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to him. Um, Other than that, we have some merch available, our dice, Baron of Dice. We appreciate the support, and we appreciate being able to bring members of our community on and really get to talk about their successes, man. Again, big props to you. So, with
Nice.
that, we've been talking for a little bit. Do you got any closing statements for us here, Andrew?
Just to reiterate, kill, maim, burn. Bring your game. Bring a list you're excited to play, and just have a good time. And don't let the overall atmosphere bring you down. It's just gonna make you play worse. It's gonna make you make poor decisions. Just there's always the next slate, right?
Exactly. There's always the next meta. There's always going to be an army that is just punching up and trying to be the underdog. And you know what? I wouldn't even say we're that bad right now. There's always a worse army. There's always a worse army. Thanks for coming on, Andrew. It was a blast and a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks
for having
everybody
me.
else. I guess I'll just close out here, guys. Stay healthy, stay safe, and kill, maim, burn.